Hey people, how's it going? Welcome back to another video, but even more exciting, welcome back to episode 18 of Albums Ranked. We are so close to 20. I'm going to get something special done for 20, but that's not why we're here. Welcome to episode 18. Today we are tackling another decently sized discography. We're tackling the pioneers of black metal, one of the pioneers you could say, the two-man power project that is indeed DARKTHRONE. Yes, we're tackling the true Norwegian black metal gods, with some questionable material thrown in the middle and then a bit more punky, rocky metal stuff at the end. So yeah, it's a discography that really chops and changes. Obviously, we know DARKTHRONE as the quintessential black metal band. Obviously, the first couple of albums really paved the way for Norwegian black metal, which then led the way for all black metal, really. And then they went into this weird kind of punky sort of stuff and stuck with that for a little bit. And then we got like this rock and roll, black metal type vibe with some of the later albums. But yeah, this was great fun. It took a while, so I'm excited to get into this ranking and get it done so we can move on to something else. But no, this was great fun. But like I say, we've got 18 albums. Now, I'm not going to include the Goat Lord demos because that's just, one, absolutely terrible, and two, just pretty much that exact reason. It's absolutely terrible, so there's no need to go into details as to why that album is down the bottom. So yeah, without further ado, excluding that, we're just going to get straight into the countdown and talk about number 18. So other than Goat Lord coming in at the bottom, coming in dead last on this countdown for me has to be the album from 2007, and that is FOAD, also known as and Die, which is a pretty bold album title. But yeah, this album was released in 2007. It's very in the midst of their crust punk type stuff, and some of it is absolutely terrible. Some of it's okay, but most of it is pretty rough. A lot of these lower albums, I could kind of chop and change. This ranking was kind of hard because, in a way, a lot of these albums aren't better than each other. So it's almost like, is this one actually the worst? Because they all sound the same. But yeah, I've gone with my gut and chucked FOAD at the bottom. However, I will defend the Church of Real Metal. I thought that was quite fun. And Canadian metal as well. I know Canadian metal is a bit funny, but I thought it was okay. The Banners of Old and the title track were fun too. But Raised on a Rock was pretty dumb. And it's just, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the vocals on this one that I do not like. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot to say about these early albums because, you know, they haven't left such a huge impact on me. So I think we're just going to leave it there and carry on. So yeah, number 18 is FOAD. Number 17 is another crust punk black metal album, obviously, and it's Circle the Wagons. Yeah, again, not the best, but, I mean, they are so interchangeable, these albums. It's almost like, okay, I don't really know. But Those Treasures Will Never Befall You, I did think was a cool opener. A lot of these albums, despite how terrible they might be, they actually do have pretty cool opening songs. I'll give you that. There was one song on here that I think there was one song on here that I liked, but I'm struggling to actually remember what it was. It might have been Running for Borders, but I genuinely do not know. That's how much of an impact this album had on me. I'm just sitting here like, yeah, it goes here. That's all I could say about it, is the fact that Circle the Wagons sits at number 17. So, like I say, they're so interchangeable, and it's almost embarrassing that I don't have a lot more to say about it. But yeah, just not my favorite, hasn't had an impact on me. So yeah, that's why Circle the Wagons is number 17. Number 16 is an album that's only 6 tracks long, but weirdly enough, was a big step up, in my opinion, in terms of songs, like attraction to the ones. And it is The Underground Resistance from, what year did this come out? 2013. So that's probably why I like it, because it's near the tail end. Well, I say I like it, it's obviously down the bottom, but it's still much better than what I just heard. Yeah, standout songs on this one. There was a lot more to remember, I thought, on on the Underground Resistance. Songs like, I quite liked Valkyrie. I thought Valkyrie was cool, and Dead Early was cool, was cool too. Lesser Men was okay, but if you're going to talk about any song from this album, it has to be Leave No Cross Unturned, which is this nearly 14-minute. It's like an epic, but it's a crust punk black metal epic. So, I mean, take what you can with that. But still, that's probably the only thing that, that's easily the best thing about this album is Leave No Cross Unturned. It's pretty, well, I'll say it's pretty heavy, but of course it's pretty heavy. It's a Darkthrone song, but it's pretty, how do you say it? It's pretty brutal. It's pretty heavy, and it's almost it's definitely one of the more epicest songs, I think, that Darkthrone have ever done. It matches, it's like this Great War battle song epic. But yeah, like I say, it's only 6 tracks, but that one is much better than whatever I said before. I've already forgotten what we're talking about. Yeah, but yeah, so that's that one. Number 16 is the Underground Resistance. Album number 15 is an album from 2006, and that is The Cult Is Indeed, The Cult Is Alive. The only reason that this one pretty much only slightly beats the Underground Resistance, because one, there's a lot more going on it, and I thought some of the riffs on here were quite cool. This album's most of these albums are 40 minutes long, so that's really cool. Too Old, Too Cold is a bit questionable lyrically, but overall I thought it was actually quite fun. Atomic Coming, that's a cool song too, and Graveyard Slut, again, is quite questionable, but on the other hand, it's I thought it was weirdly fun, and it made me laugh. So I know we don't listen to black metal for humor, but I don't know, I thought it was fun. Shut Up at the bottom, yeah, that's a bit dumb. Yeah, but and there's some Norwegian songs on here as well, and they're cool, they're fun as well. The Cult of Goliath was a cool opening song. Like I say, all the opening songs are kind of cool, but yeah, this one isn't so much different to what we're hearing, but they are just slightly getting better. But yeah, The Cult Is Alive, again, is just another Their album. It's okay to listen to, but I don't imagine, pretty much most of these, I don't imagine going back to them soon. So yeah, what more do you want? Number 15? Yeah, number 15, The Cult Is Alive. Number 14 is Darkthrones and Black Flags from 2008. Yeah, so again, interchangeable. I know I keep saying it, but it's true. However, once again, incredible opening song. The Wednesday Called the Dungeon Shaker. I thought it was cool. And Death of All Oaths, Oath Minus. That was fun. There was something about that one. Hiking Metal Pirates. Up to, bro. Yeah, but also the title track, Darkthrones and Black Flags. Even though it's an instrumental, that's probably why it's memorable, because it's oh yeah, it's got all those riffs in it. Norway in September, that's quite fun. It's pretty much it's like a tease into getting back into black metal, because it's Norway in September, even though it's not winter in September, you can imagine that it's still going to be pretty damn cold. Blacksmith on the North was cool, but yeah, again, there's not a lot to go off on these albums, because they all sound quite similar, and weirdly are all quite forgettable, apart from one or two things that make you go, okay, I enjoyed that riff more than that riff, so that's why this album goes here. Go listen to these albums, and I'm pretty sure you'll get what I mean when I say that these are, interchangeable or whatever. But yeah, 14, Darkthrones and Black Flags. 13 is Sardonic Wrath, or Wrath, however you want to say it. Again, not much to go on, but better. There was a lot from this, well, I say a lot, there was much more memorable pieces on this album that I thought were cool. Information Wants to Be Syndicated. Interesting title, but cool song nonetheless. Sacrificing to the God of Doubt was probably my favourite song on here. There's a lot of, well, I say a lot, there's 2-3 songs on here that are Norwegian. Checkmate Jesus Christ is, again, comical, but they're weirdly, these ones are much more enjoyable, I thought, but like you say, they're still, I know I'm saying this a lot, and it will change, I promise, but yeah, for now, they're still very much although I'd much rather listen to Sonic Wrath than Circle the Wagons, but yeah, it's still very much you know, this is obviously definitely a punky album, and it's pretty much. Is this the first punk album? I think it might be, or is it just teasing? It might just be like teasing where punk is going to go. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, it sucks that I don't have a lot to say more about his albums. Usually I'm quite in depth with the albums I listen to, but unfortunately these ones I'm struggling to, you know, give you in-depth details. But yeah, trust me, I know what you're all waiting for. We're just waiting to get through to the 90s albums. But yeah, Sardonic Wrath for me is number 13. Number 12 is Hate Them from 2003. I did enjoy this album. This is where it starts to get a bit like, oh, now I remember much more from these albums. Again, incredible opener. Rust, I thought was cool. Goes for about 7 minutes, nearly 7 minutes. But yeah, Rust is a cool song. There's a song on here called Up and Ready to Die that, despite its funny title, you know, it's actually a good song as well. And although, like, obviously, we're still wanting Darkthrone to be black metal and stuff, but they haven't mentioned Satan for a while. But he finally gets a little mention in this album with track 6 called "Striving for a Piece of Lucifer." But at the same time, we've sat through 30 minutes of, you could say, you know, borderline punky type stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's good. I enjoyed it, but like I say, Divided We Stand, that's my favorite. That's probably easily my favorite song. I remember the riff. There's a certain riff in that song that really was like, oh, here we go. That feels nice. You know, that was a fun song. But yeah, again, another 40-minute album that flew by and just kind of, it still just sits there. But yeah, it's still fun. Would I listen to it again? Yeah, I probably would. But in a little while. So yeah, number 12 is Hate Them. Number 11, we're nearly halfway, team. Hang in there. Number 11 is the debut. Number 11 is Soulside Journey. Now, I'm sure we're all familiar, but just in case you're the rare occasion where you're not familiar and you're watching my ranking to get a feel of who Darkthrone are, obviously they're a black metal band, but this album is a death metal record. And weirdly enough, it's a really good death metal record. I'm not the biggest death metal listener. However, this one I would chuck in there in a small handful of recommended death metal albums. But hey, that's another video. So Soulside Journey came out, in 1991, and it's genuinely quite good. Normally, I try to get the debuts put up quite high, but unfortunately, because it's a death metal album, that's why it sits pretty much in the middle. But yeah, Cromlech, however you want to call it, that's a cool song. This album, because it's death metal, it's full of riffs, and those riffs are damn good. The title track, Soulside Journey, so good. Neptune Towers is great. Accumulation of Generalization is quite funny. Like, they're all really, really good songs, and they're all just full of riffs and full of great vocals for death metal anyway. And yeah, Sempiternal Sepulchre, that one, that's a cool song too. Literally, I could say that all these songs are cool, but like, obviously there are better albums. But if you're into death metal a lot more than you are black, then you'll probably get a big kick out of this album. I know a lot of people that would put this like quite high in the ranking, but unfortunately for me, yeah, it sits at number 11. That is Soulside Journey, the debut. But yeah, I'd highly recommend it to death metal fans anyway. But yeah, number 11, Soulside Journey. Number 10 is Total Death. A lot of people generally stop listening to Darkthrone when they get to this album because, well, I mean, if you've made it past album 5, this is album 6, so like, if you got to album 5, you know, well done. There's a lot more to Darkthrone than Transylvanian Hunger, I swear. I mean, look around. But yeah, this album is still weirdly, like, they're still weirdly good when this album comes out. A lot of these later black metal albums that they did before the punk stuff might tend to be forgotten about because people talk about Transylvanian Hunger, Northern Sky, and Under a Funeral Moon, but nobody really talks about like the Total Deaths and the Plague Wielders and all that stuff. They're still really, really good black metal albums. Total Death is, you know, where Darkthrone's discography, well, for my discography, starts to get pretty much not amazing, but much, much better than everything that we've just talked about before. Earth's Last Picture, great song. Black Winged, incredible song. And Gather Attack on the Pearly Gates. These songs, already, they're such a step up from everything else that we've talked about. Obviously, because it's a black metal band, this is the kind of stuff that we want to listen to when we listen to Darkthrone. Yeah, okay, it's black metal, but I'm going to say this. We all know how Transylvanian Hunger sounds in terms of production. This one, if you could compare it to that, sounds so much better. But at the same time, Transylvanian Hunger sounds obviously bad. This one, you might question the production. But like I say, it's black metal, so it's a weird... I know what I'm trying to say, but like, yeah, whatever. Black Victory of Death was a cool song, and Blasphemy was cool. These are all cool songs. They're all, like, it's a quick album. It's only 35 minutes long, so it's not a mission to get through. But yeah, I actually got a kick out of listening to Total Death. I listened to it about 3 times, I think. But yeah, it was generally really, really fun. But yeah, it sits at number 9, did I say? Yeah, no, number 10, sorry. Number 10 is Total Death. Number 9, we get introduced to our first physical copy of the album. It's on LP, and it's their latest one. Number 9 is Eternal Hails, released in 2021. I got super hyped when I found out that this album was getting released because, as you might have, you know, from the album that came before this, I really, really enjoyed. So I was keen to be like, cool, Darkthrone are kind of back in a way. It's not as black metal as Under a Funeral Moon, but it's nowhere near punky, like, underground resistance type stuff. It's definitely, it's almost black and, I want to say black and roll, rock and roll black metal. It's a fun album. It's 6 tracks. It's still about 40 minutes long. It's 6 tracks. Every song the shortest song on here is 7 minutes and 2 seconds, and that's the last song. Really, really cool stuff. Hate Cloak, the single. You've probably, if you haven't heard this album, but you've heard a single, it's probably Hate Cloak. That's a cool song. But I really like Voyage to a North Pole. Is that Voyage to a North Pole Adrift? This album has some amazing riffs in it. Just some overall really cool, like, not black metal riffs, but they're black and roll riffs. Like, listen to the album and you'll know what I mean. But yeah, I really, really got a kick out of listening to this one. And I bought this when it came out. I couldn't believe it was in the shop. I was just like, yo, that's mine. Thanks a lot. But yeah, really, really great album. I would recommend Eternal Hails to Darkthrone fans. But yeah, number 9, Eternal Hails. Now, as I just said, I love Eternal Hails, but the album that came before it, I really enjoyed too. But obviously, not so much to have it go at like number 1, 2, or 3. And so, without further ado, number 8 is Old Star, released in 2019. I remember when this album came out too. And again, I got hyped. I don't know why. I don't think I was really passionately listening to Darkthrone in 2019. Although I was familiar with a few songs. But yeah, I didn't own a few albums like I do now. But yeah, coming off the album that comes before Old Star is such a breath of fresh air. Like, although the album before it is still quite good. I haven't mentioned that album yet, but still, there's something different about the two of them. And you'll see what I mean. I'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, Old Star, again, is another 6-track album, but has some really, really good songs and some really cool riffs. Again, a lot of the songs on here, the songs on here are quite long, apart from, there's 2, Old Star, the title track, which is the shortest song of 4.5 minutes, and then Alpman, which is 5 minutes. Everything else is over 6 minutes, but it still clocks in at 40 minutes, so it's not hard to get through. 40 minutes is like ideal time for an album, in my opinion. But anyway, I Muffle Your Inner Choir is cool. Hardship of the Scots, that's a really, really good song. I really love the Hardship of the Scots. I remember when I first heard that song, I called it was very Sabbathy infused. The riffs that come out in the Hardship of the Scots, I heard Black Sabbath. I was like, yeah, it's really, really cool. Old Star I thought was fun too, but Outman is incredible. Like, the riff is weirdly catchy, and like it's just very fast-paced kind of thing. It's like fast black and roll again, but nah, really cool. Duke of the Gloat's fun, but then the key is inside the wall. The album closer again, full of incredible riffs, and it's just like, this is what I've missed. When you've been listening to like the last 4 or 5 DARKTHRONE albums before this, you're like, this is the type of stuff that I've been waiting for, and it finally comes back on album frickin' 17. But yeah, I mean, Old Star is really, really cool, and I don't have it, obviously, but it was available in my shop, but I never bought it because I couldn't justify paying what they wanted for it for 6 songs. I was like, oh, but maybe it's still there. I'll have to go back and look for it. But yeah, Old Star coming in at number 8. Number 8. Notice we're slowly going back in time. Number 7 is Arctic Thunder. Now, this was sort of like this is what I mean when I say this is the breath of fresh air album after what came before it. All that underground resistance, circle the wagony stuff. You then 2016 then came around and Arctic Thunder was released, and just listening to the first song, Tundra Leech, to me was like, here we go. This is what we want. Now, I remember going to that same record shop I mentioned a minute ago, trying to get in. I think I was trying to get into DARKTHRONE at the time, and I saw that Arctic Thunder was there in the shop for a CD. I didn't buy it though. Instead, I looked up the album and listened to it on Spotify. So I was kind of to see if I liked it, I think, and to see if I would like it and try and get into it. So I was quite familiar with this album already. However, it was pretty cool to listen to it again, like from start to finish in a sit down and go through it. Yeah, like I say, Tundra Leech. I've loved Tundra Leech since I first heard it, and that it's got a cool opening riff, and there's that breakdown bit in the middle, and it's just I love that song. It's a black metal vocal as well. You could tell that it's like a lot more. I mean, Nocturnal's vocals kind of sound black metal-y throughout the whole discography, minus 1 or 2 albums in certain sections. But yeah, anyway. Inbred Vermin, Arctic Thunder, Throw Me Through the Marshes was cool. But then, is it the Wyoming Distance? Or no, I think it's Deep Lake Trespassers, where it's kind of using the same riff from Tundra Leech. Like that breakdown riff. It's like a little bit picked in a different way, but still, really, really cool songs, and a really, really cool album. I would highly recommend you go listen to Arctic Thunder. I really, really got a kick out of it. But yeah, coming in at number 7 is that Arctic Thunder. Number 6 is an album that I had never listened to before, and again, it's 6 tracks. It's much more easier to get into an album that you've never heard before when you discover that it's only 6 tracks and you think, okay, it's only 6 songs, even if it is 42 minutes. It's Plague Wielder from 2011. No, 2001. Tripping up. Yeah, it was released one day before 9/11. How cool. Plague Wielder, I thought, was extremely, for a better word, underrated. I'd never heard it before, but it obviously I've put it at number 6. I think it's really, really good, and I think it's really, really strong. It's a bit like Total Death, in my opinion. It's one of those black metal albums that nobody really wants to talk about because they're just drowned in the shadow of like Transylvanian and Funeral Moon and stuff. But still, Plague Wielder is actually really, really cool. There's some really cool songs on here with some really, really cool riffs. The shortest song on here is 5 minutes. But still, I thought it was great. They're all good. Weakling Avenger was awesome. Command's a cool song. I really, really like that. And Wreck, or Reek, however you want to say it. There's riffs in Wreck that are just yes. That are just yes. I love Wreck, whatever. It's a 9-minute song, so it's bound to be full of something that's, enjoyable at the end of it. But yeah, when Plague Wielder ended, I thought, cool. This is much more fun. This is a great album. And I was like, I was getting hyped up for all these future albums, and then fucking Sardonic Wrath and Circle the Wagons comes out later. I was just like, God's sake. But yeah, Plague Wielder, number 6? Number 6? Yeah, Plague Wielder, number 6. Number 5 is, I'm pretty sure, the album that comes before it. This was released in September of 1999, and it is Ravishing Grimness. Again, a black metal album that I've never heard of, but yet weirdly good. I thought it was really awesome. Again, another 40-minute album, obviously. 6 songs. It's like 3 songs on a side. That's all they've done in this black metal era or whatever. It's like, if we're going to release it, that's how we have to do it. Sweet as. Lifeless and The Beast are really cool songs. The title track, Ravishing Grimness, I, again, thought was really cool. These songs are really cool. Across the Vacuum was fun. I listened to this at work. Like, I listened to this album like 4 times. Really getting into it. The Claws of Time. The Claws of Time. If you haven't listened to this album, that's okay. I'm not going to tell you to go listen to the album just because. Go listen to The Claws of Time. It's genuinely one of Darkthrone's best songs. It is. I think it's great. To the Death, Under the King. Really cool stuff too. Literally, Ravishing Grimness is really good. It's sort of like, it needs to be talked about more because, like, we need to accept the fact that Darkthrone have done more than Transylvanian Hunger. Yeah, I know they're world famous and everybody ranks them high, including me, obviously, but still, we need to give these little albums much more appreciation. You know, go listen to them. They're so cool. I would highly recommend Ravishing Grimness and Plague Wielder. Go listen to them. They're awesome. But yeah, Ravishing Grimness, number 5. Number 5. We're nearly to the top. Let's go. All right. Now we're into the chunk that everybody cares about. You know, this is where the opinions get thrown around and whatnot. And I might trigger a few people by putting this one this low, but fuck it, I don't care. Number 4 is the sophomore, Ablaze in the Northern Sky. Obviously, people deem this as definitive Darkthrone, definitive black metal, and I'm not going to argue. It genuinely is. But I have much more fun listening to the ones that I haven't talked about yet. However, it's still a cult classic and it's still amazing. And it's obvious why people rain this album so much. It's a bit like Bathory's The Return. It's like definitive black metal. It's genuinely amazing. Coming off the vibe that was Soulside Journey and then being introduced with this is just like, what? Is it the same band? It is. The members change. I haven't talked much about the members and all that jazz. I know, I've just talked about albums, but it's okay. This album kicks off with a typical black metal chanty, frosty, cold chant thing, Cartharanian Life Code, which is weirdly long. It's 10 minutes long. Guess how many songs are on this album? Yep, exactly. 6. In the Shadow of the Horns. Again, one of Darkthrone's top 3 quintessential songs and genuinely great fun songs. I love In the Shadow of the Horns. Paragon, Belial, great song too. Where Cold Winds Blow and the title track, Ablaze in the Northern Sky. It's so fun. It's cold. It's genuinely just cold. This whole album is cold. Try listening to it in the summer. It does not work. It has to be cold and wet and windy. It's just awesome. The Pagan Winter, I tell you. Great album. But yeah, compared to probably a lot of people, falls for me just that little bit. And yeah, but I still love it nonetheless. Ablaze in the Northern Sky. Number 4. Number 3 is actually the album that I thought was going to be number 1. Just because I really liked it, but then the more I listened to these other stuff, and I was just like, that annoys me because I wanted this to be my number 1. But I have to accept the fact that no, I get a kick out of listening to what's left. However, number 3 is Under a Funeral Moon. This was the first Darkthrone LP I got, and I'm not sure if it's like a legit copy because I don't know. It's not as black, but that's beside the point. Under a Funeral Moon came out in 1993, and to me is much better than Ablaze in the Northern Sky. Let's discuss why. Well, for one, we've got 8 tracks now instead of 6, but that's not why we're raining it over Blaze. The production on this album for me sits in the perfect sweet spot for what black metal sounds like. It's nowhere near as rough as Transylvanian, but it's better. To me, it sounds better than like what the Shadow of the Horn sounds like. Like Natasha in Eternal Sleep, that's a great song, and it's got a cool. Well, I say it's got a cool intro. These songs don't really have intros anymore. They just start. They're just there. But honestly, Natasha and Eternal Sleep and The Summer of the Diabolical Holocaust, I really always liked those two. They're genuine such cool songs, especially Natasha. Natasha's a great song. The Dance of Eternal Shadows and Unholy Black Metal. If we're going to listen to black metal, it has to be unholy. Duh. That's why it's black metal. Really, really cool stuff. To Walk the Infernal Fields, that's kind of cool too. Well, I say kind of cool. It's very cool. All these songs are very cool. Under a Funeral Moon, and then you've got a Norwegian one. I can't say it, but yeah, honestly, so good. Fenris does. The guitars are fuzzy, like not Burzum fuzzy, but we're getting there. But yeah, like I say, I'd much prefer the production on this one to how Blaze sounds. But yeah, honestly. Really good album, and obviously it's number 3, so go listen to it. Under a Funeral Moon. We are so close, team. You're doing so well. I'm very proud of you. Number 2 is an album that I do not have on LP. I have it on CD, which is annoying because I want it on LP, but I'll buy it later. There's reasons for that. Don't worry about it. Number 2 is probably a lot of people's number 1s if you don't include Blaze. Number 2 is Transylvanian Hunger. Yeah. You have to laugh. If you're familiar with the Thralls of Metal, like, watching them do rankings is quite funny. But it's quite funny to watch people, especially them, put this album way down the bottom. Just because of pretty much how black metal it is. Transylvanian Hunger acts as the most rawest, most brutal act of pure, true Norwegian black metal I've ever heard. We've all heard Transylvanian Hunger, and we either like it or we don't. There's no, I can listen to it, I don't mind it. It's either you love it or hate it because of how it sounds. Me, I'm on the love it side. It sounds like it was made in a basement, muffled on a kid's little recorder set thing. But in a way, that's why we love it. Transylvanian Hunger is awesome. The whole album sounds like that. It doesn't just change because for that song. But there's a lot. When I say a lot, I mean the whole thing is in Norwegian, minus Transylvanian Hunger. But I'm pretty sure. Now I'm struggling to remember which is which. Like, I can hear the riffs, but because they're not in English. Skald U Satan's Soul, which I think we can figure out what that means. That's a cool song. I can hear the riffs, and that's a cool song, whichever one that is. I'm sorry. I know I put this at number 2, but I can't name the songs. You try memorize which song is which, but yeah, anyway. It's the same drum beat throughout the whole album, pretty much, but that doesn't, in a way, like, you can't really hear the drums because of how rough it's recorded, and the vocals are just, But honestly, wait till you really... I'm going to say this. Wait till you're not in the happiest mood. Wait till you're feeling a bit, sad and angry about anything, whether it be the world or a breakup or whatever. I think then you might appreciate music that sounds like this, if you're not a fan of it already. But, I mean, yeah. Maybe don't start with Transylvanian Hunger if it's your first Darkthrone album. Go with Funeral Moon. I reckon you'll like that. But yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. Number 2 is Transylvanian Hunger. Cold. Which obviously means, everybody, that number 1, for me, for most of us, it should be anyway, is Panzerfaust. Panzerfaust from 1995. This album weirdly crept up through the ranking. Obviously, I own it, so I do like Panzerfaust. It's still in the same realm as Transylvanian and Under Funeral and like the Unholy Trinity, but it's not really included, but it should be. It comes after Transylvanian Hunger, and where the production has picked up, like, it doesn't sound like Transylvanian Hunger at all, but the vocals are a bit questionable, just because, like, there's no... Yeah, listen to the album, you'll know what I mean. But there are some great songs on here. Triumph Gleam is awesome. There's a song on here called The Hordes of Nebula, which is pretty much Shadow of the Horns Part 2. I'm sure they just tried to replicate the buzz and the vibe that was off that song. But they did it well. you could play them back to back, and they've got the same chug and like the same chords or whatever. But still, really, really good stuff. How do you say it? Quintessence. That's a really cool song too. I've loved that song for years. Quintessence. Beholding the Throne of Might. That's great too. And Hans Sist Winter. That's easily my favorite song. The riff in that is just trim-picked, and it's melodic, it's catchy, it's really, really fun. I really like Has Siste Winter, which I'm assuming is something about winter. The only song I won't rain on is obviously the last one, Snow Og Granskog, which is this weird, like, chanty thing. It's not really it's more like a poem, it's not really a song. If you've heard it, you know what I mean. But yeah, number one, the best Darkthrone album, in my opinion, is 1995's Panzerfaust. Would highly, highly recommend this one. If you've made it through the first lot, you'll definitely enjoy Panzerfaust. So yeah, go check that one out. Fantastic team. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while we discuss the gods of black metal's 18 discography. I know the first half of that was a bit questionable because I didn't really have much feedback on them, but literally go listen to some of those albums that I mentioned earlier, and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, honestly, Darkthrone are great. At least half of their stuff is great. I would highly recommend Darkthrone to anyone who's trying to get into some blacker, scarier music. They're pioneers and gods of it for a reason. Literally, the top five, my top five, literally any of those you'll be set with. But team, thank you so much for hanging out with me while I discuss their massive discography. I hope you had a fun time. Let me know down below your favorites. Tell me why Transylvanian is actually terrible. Tell me why Circle the Wagons is actually really good. You know, these are opinions that I love to hear. And yeah, hang out for the next ranking. Again, I don't know who it'll be, but it's bound to be a fun one. I love doing rankings. Let me know down below if you want me to rank anybody in particular. But yeah, until that happens, everybody, stay inside, stay safe, hail Satan, and I will see you all in the next video really soon.